Okay, so here's a weird one for you. If, like, 80% of your biggest life problems, the really catastrophic ones, are caused by one specific thing,
Right.
but everyone, absolutely everyone, keeps pointing the finger squarely at this other thing, you kind of have to ask yourself, are we maybe fundamentally misunderstanding the whole situation?
Or at least looking in completely the wrong direction for the trigger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So today we're doing a deep dive into something pretty major.
Right.
Heart attacks and strokes. And for decades, the story has been, your arteries are like old pipes.
Clogging up slowly.
Yeah, this slow, inevitable buildup of cholesterol, plaque, calcium, until eventually, boom, nothing gets through.
Yeah.
Like kitchen plumbing gone bad.
That's the classic picture for sure.
But what we've been digging into really flicks that whole idea right over. Here's the really surprising part. Over 80% of those big sudden heart attacks and strokes, they're actually caused by a clot.
A sudden event.
A sudden event, not that slow grind. So if someone tells you it's just the cholesterol buildup that instantly kills you, well, they might be missing the main character in the drama.
Absolutely. And that means we need to completely reframe how we think about this. A clot. It isn't inherently bad. It's actually a vital biological response.
Okay, how so?
Think of the inside lining of your artery, like skin, but on the inside, super delicate. If that lining gets injured, gets a little tear or hole,
Right.
the body's immediate reaction is damage control. Stop the bleeding, patch the hole, so it rushes in platelets and clotting factors and builds a clot. It's basically a biological Band-Aid.
A Band-Aid. Okay, I get that.
It's meant to be protective. But the problem arises when that Band-Aid forms too big or too fast or, breaks off and travels, then the protective measure becomes the blockage.
Gotcha.
So the key takeaway here isn't that clots are bad. It's that the injury that made the body create the clot, that's the real problem we need to prevent.
Right. So the focus shifts completely. Forget obsessing only about cholesterol, which might just be like part of the repair crew showing up.
Exactly.
We need to ask, what's actually causing these little injuries, these holes in our arteries that trigger this whole emergency clotting response? That's our mission for this deep dive. Let's unpack these triggers, starting with the ones people kind of know, and then get into the sneakier ones.
Sounds good.
So when we talk about things from the outside causing inflammation and poking holes in our arteries, some are pretty obvious, but man, they're powerful.
Top of the list, no surprise, is smoke and chemical exposure. Cigarette smoke, obviously, but also just general air pollution, heavy city smog. The second those inhaled chemicals hit your bloodstream, they cause immediate inflammation, like right away, and they directly damage that delicate artery lining.
And let's just nip this in the bud. No, vaping isn't some magical, healthy alternative.
Definitely not. It's just swapping one set of inhaled chemicals for another. The arteries don't really care if it tastes like bubblegum. They just register the chemical assault.
Okay, so inhaled stuff is bad. What about things we drink?
Well, alcohol is a big one. Your liver processes it, sure, but while it's circulating, it acts like a direct irritant to that artery lining. Causes tiny bits of damage.
Prompting the Band-Aid response.
Prompting the Band-Aid response, exactly, every time.
Okay, so external toxins check, but then our own body chemistry can get involved. Right? This is where it starts getting maybe a bit more unexpected for people. Hormones.
Absolutely. It's highlighted pretty clearly that certain hormonal interactions, like some types of birth control pills or certain hormone replacement therapies, can nudge the risk up.
How? What's the mechanism there?
Hormones are like master controllers of body chemistry. They can influence how the liver produces clotting factors. So these therapies can subtly shift your body towards a state where it's just primed to clot more easily. Makes that 5-second clot formation more likely if an injury does happen.
Wow. Okay, that's a bit of a chemical minefield. But maybe the most dramatic trigger, the one that really hits hard physically, even though we think of it as emotional, is stress.
Oh, massively. We really need to start thinking of stress as just in your head. It's a potent physical and chemical event. I mean, look at the stats for broken heart syndrome, Takotsubo cardiomyopathy.
Yeah. What are they?
The risk of having a major heart attack jumps by something like 2,000% in the weeks right after losing a loved one.
Whoa, wait. 2,000%. That's not just noise. That's like the body hitting the panic button. How does grief translate into a heart attack?
It's that massive sudden flood of stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline. They just shock the system. It jacks up blood pressure, sure, but critically, it also triggers a huge activation of the clotting cascade.
Why?
The body basically interprets that extreme emotional stress as a state of major physical trauma, like you've been wounded, so it preemptively ramps up clotting ability, just in case. That sudden hypercoagulable state is incredibly dangerous.
And it's not just emotional stress, is it? You mentioned physical stress counts, too.
For sure. Things like major surgery, obviously. But also, think about extreme endurance sports, like marathons.
People think that's the peak of health.
It can be, but pushing the body that hard, that relentlessly, can actually trigger a similar stress hormone and clotting response. It's a fine line sometimes, between healthy exertion and actually traumatizing the system.
Yeah. Okay. So stress is a big one. What else is injuring us from the inside? Food.
Oh, yeah. The silent attacker. Refined starches and sugar. Honestly, you should think of refined sugar less as food and more like liquid inflammation pouring through your arteries.
And that connects to a huge risk group, doesn't it?
It totally explains why people with diabetes have a 4 to 5 times higher risk of clots in the heart and brain. Their blood is just chronically sticky.
Sticky.
Yeah. High blood sugar constantly damages the artery lining, causing those little injuries, making the body constantly want to form those potentially dangerous clots.
Okay. And one last sneaky one. Hidden infections.
Right. Things you might not even know you have, like a chronic low-grade infection from a failed root canal, maybe, or a tooth abscess that's just slowly leaking bacteria, even bad gum disease.
How does that connect?
That constant trickle of bacteria and inflammatory signals into your bloodstream acts like a persistent alarm bell for your clotting system. It keeps it on high alert.
Okay, so we've got chemicals, stress, sugar, infections,
Yeah.
all causing the initial injury. But now let's talk about something that's already in us that can apparently go rogue. Calcium. This seems backwards.
It really does feel counterintuitive, doesn't it? We're told calcium equals strong bones. But excess calcium, especially when it ends up in the wrong place, like your arteries, is actually a major player in clotting.
How so?
Well, calcium is involved in over 15 different steps in the blood clotting process. And there was a study, postmenopausal women taking high-dose calcium supplements, for osteoporosis, they actually showed an increased risk of clots.
Seriously? So you take something to help your bones, and it might actually make your blood clot more.
That's the risk of imbalance. See, excess calcium doesn't just go to bones. It can start building up in soft tissues, especially the artery walls, calcification.
Make them hard.
Exactly. Hard and brittle, less flexible, more prone to cracking or injury, and therefore more likely to trigger that dangerous clot formation.
Okay. That paints a pretty clear, if slightly terrifying, picture.
Yeah.
Smoke, sugar, stress, rogue calcium, all trying to poke holes in our arteries.
Yeah.
So let's pivot. What can we actually do about it? We need defenses, right? Things that maybe go against the usual advice.
Yes. And the absolute star player here, the thing that directly tackles that misplaced calcium problem, is vitamin K2.
K2. Yeah.
Think of K2 as the calcium traffic cop or maybe a bouncer. Its main job is to make sure calcium gets into your bones and teeth where it belongs.
Right.
And stays out of soft tissues like arteries and heart valves.
Okay, crucial job. So where do we get the K2? This sounds important.
Yeah.
Is it spinach? Broccoli?
Yeah. That's K1. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
K2, ironically, is found mainly in fatty foods.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Things like butter from grass-fed cows, certain hard cheeses like Gouda or Brie, egg yolks, liver, other animal fats.
You mean the exact foods that the low-fat craze of the last few decades told us would clog our arteries and give us heart attacks? Those foods.
The very ones. It's quite the paradox, isn't it? The nutrient needed to keep arteries clear and flexible is in the foods we were told to avoid because of, cholesterol fears.
Mind blown. Okay, so K2 is the bouncer. Does it work alone? You mentioned a trio earlier.
Right. K2 needs partners. It works best with vitamin D. Vitamin D is hugely important for inflammation control inside the arteries, and it helps K2 do its calcium-directing job.
Okay, D and K2. Got it. Who's the third?
Magnesium. Super important. Magnesium helps regulate calcium levels overall, keeping things balanced. But critically, it also helps prevent heart rhythm problems, especially atrial fibrillation, AFib.
Why is AFib relevant to clots?
When the heart's in AFib, it's kind of quivering instead of beating strongly. That lets blood pool in the heart chambers, stagnant blood clots really easily.
Wow.
And then that clot can get pumped out and travel, causing a stroke. Magnesium helps stabilize the heart rhythm, reducing that pooling risk.
So D, K2, magnesium, that's like your baseline arterial health insurance policy.
Okay.
But what about turning down the clotting tendency overall? Is there something that tells the whole system to just chill out a bit?
Yes. The big one there is nitric oxide. NO.
Nitric oxide.
Think of NO as the relaxed signal for your blood vessels. It tells them to widen, to dilate. When vessels are relaxed and open, blood flows smoothly and the whole clotting process naturally gets dialed down. We want plenty of NO.
Makes sense. How do we boost it? More pills?
Well, you can start with L-arginine. It's an amino acid, a building block for NO, and guess where you find lots of L-arginine?
Let me guess. Not on rice cakes.
Nope. Nutrient-dense foods like meat, liver. Again, the very foods often put on the limit this list turn out to be packed with stuff your arteries need to relax.
It's getting ridiculous. Okay,
Yeah.
What else?
Sunlight.
Sunlight. We've spent like 40 years being told the sun is trying to kill us with melanoma. Hide inside, slather on sunscreen.
Yeah, well, that narrative might have been, let's say, a bit oversimplified, especially for cardiovascular health. Sunlight does more than just make vitamin D, though that's important too.
What else does it do?
It actually penetrates the skin and directly helps your blood vessels produce more nitric oxide.
Seriously? Just from sunshine?
Yep. Getting regular, sensible sun exposure is incredibly therapeutic for the whole cardiovascular system. Helps relax those arteries, keep blood flowing. We evolved needing sunlight. It's part of our biology.
So the recipe for relaxed arteries is go outside, maybe eat some butter, have a steak. This is completely upside down from everything we learned in health class.
It does challenge a lot of the established dogma, yeah.
Okay. Beyond those big ones, any other helpers?
Sure. Plenty of other dietary factors help. Vitamin C is a great anti-inflammatory. Polyphenols, those compounds that make plants colorful, found in herbs, spices, vegetables, also fight inflammation. And omega-3 fatty acids, from fish oil, for example, naturally make blood less sticky.
Okay. Now, you mentioned K1 earlier from leafy greens. People hear vitamin K and think clotting. Can you clear that up? K1 versus K2.
Good point. It's confusing. Think of it this way. Vitamin K1, the kind abundant in leafy greens, is primarily involved in the normal clotting process you need if you get a cut. It helps stop bleeding externally, brings blood clotting to a normal necessary level.
Okay.
Vitamin K2, the bouncer from fatty foods, is doing a totally different job inside the arteries, managing calcium, keeping things flexible, preventing that internal calcification which leads to injury. Both Ks are vital, but they have different roles. K1 isn't going to make your blood excessively thick. K2 helps prevent the reason clots might form internally.
Got it. K1 for cuts, K2 for clean pipes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Last bit. What about lifestyle stuff and maybe some targeted natural things for people worried about clotting risk?
Lifestyle absolutely has to focus on reducing that background inflammation.
Yeah.
So things like intermittent fasting can be really powerful. Anti-inflammatory diets, low carb, keto make a huge difference by removing that constant sugar inflammation trigger.
And exercise. Still good, even after the marathon morning.
Oh, definitely. Regular, moderate exercise is fantastic. Walking, swimming, cycling, strength training. Just don't push into that extreme stress zone constantly without adequate recovery. Consistent movement is key, not self-inflicted trauma.
Right. And are there any, natural enzyme helpers? Things that actively work on clots?
Yes, there are some really interesting ones. Enzymes like Nattokinase that comes from fermented soybeans. Serrapeptase, bizarrely, it comes from silkworms. And Bromelain from pineapple.
Silkworms. Okay. What do they do?
These are proteolytic enzymes. They specifically help break down fibrin. Fibrin is like the mesh that holds a blood clot together. So these enzymes can help dissolve existing tiny clots or prevent excessive fibrin buildup.
Interesting. Is there a trick to taking them?
Yeah, the key is timing. You must take them on an empty stomach, away from food. If you take them with food, your body just says, oh, digestive enzymes, and uses them to break down your meal in your stomach. But on an empty stomach, they get absorbed into the bloodstream and can work systemically, helping to clean things up, dissolve that excess fibrin.
Fascinating. Okay, so wrapping this all up, the big shift in thinking is stop fearing cholesterol quite so much and start focusing on preventing the injury to the artery wall.
Exactly. The real danger, over 80% of the time, isn't the slow clog. It's the sudden clot formed in response to damage.
And that damage comes from smoke, yes, but also stress, way more than we thought, refined sugar, maybe hidden infections, and even misplaced calcium.
Right. And the solutions seem to lie in challenging that old low-fat dogma. We need things like K2 from butter and cheese, vitamin D and NO from sunshine, L-arginine from meat, plus magnesium, omega-3s.
All the stuff we were kind of told to be wary of.
Pretty much. It really demands some critical thinking about the health advice we've taken as gospel.
Which leaves us with, I guess, a pretty provocative final thought, doesn't it? If the story about heart attacks, arguably one of the biggest killers, has been this fundamentally misunderstood, with the bad guys and good guys kind of mixed up, what other health facts are we maybe living by that could be? well, secretly wounding us in other ways.
That's definitely something to chew on. Maybe that whole broken heart syndrome isn't so poetic after all. Maybe it really is just bad plumbing triggered by stress.
Food for thought. Serious food for thought.